When Catherine slid the divorce papers across the table toward me, she didn't look up. Jack, I don't want to do this anymore. Her voice was flat, like she was reading off a grocery list, but after 7 years of marriage, I knew every secret hidden in her tone. Her jaw was clenched, her left hand unconsciously twisting her wedding ring, something she always did when she lied. I didn't ask why. I spun the pen once between my fingers and signed my name where indicated, the letters flowing into smooth arcs. Catherine's breath caught for just a beat. You've reviewed the asset division, I said, sliding the agreement back to her. If there are no issues, we can file next week. She finally looked up. There was something in her eyes I'd never seen before, not sadness, but relief. She took it as proof that I'd already given up. She was wrong. 3 days earlier, I'd received an anonymous package in the mail, a series of photographs. Catherine and her department head, Michael, kissing in a parking lot, walking side by side through a hotel's revolving door, his hand slipping into the pocket of her coat in an underground garage. She thought she was the one moving the pieces. She didn't realize she was one of them. The divorce went through faster than I expected. The day Catherine moved out, the sun was bright and generous. She took only 2 suitcases, said she'd come back for the rest sometime. I knew she wouldn't. Michael owned an apartment in the suburbs. She'd mentioned it twice, always casually, like office gossip. Take care of yourself, she said at the door. You too, I replied, handing her the last suitcase. As the door closed, I heard the crisp rhythm of her heels tapping down the hallway, toward the elevator, toward her new life. I sat alone in the suddenly silent living room and checked my phone. A new email waited, sent by the private investigator. The attachment showed Michael having dinner with his wife the previous weekend. They'd been separated for 2 years, but not divorced. Interesting. Catherine didn't know that. The evening the divorce decree was finalized, Catherine called. It's done, she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. Congratulations. I told Michael, she said, then paused, waiting for a reaction. I gave her silence. She continued. He said, it was time. Such a perfect phrase, it was time. Over the next 2 weeks, Catherine's social media turned into a carefully curated ad campaign, sunset cocktails, close-ups of desserts at upscale restaurants, gym mirror selfies and matching workout sets. No man ever appeared in the photos, but every image screamed, look how free I am, look how desired. Michael was never in the frame. I saved every photo. They'd be useful later. The shift came in September. Catherine stopped posting for 3 days. Then came a single gray-toned selfie, no caption. That afternoon, my lawyer forwarded me an email. Catherine was asking whether it was possible to revise the alimony terms. Her financial situation may have changed, my lawyer said over the phone. I already knew why. The investigator's report was concise. Michael had begun avoiding conversations about moving in together. The previous Friday, he'd been photographed at an art exhibit with another woman. Not Catherine. I replied to my lawyer, proceed according to the original agreement. One rainy night in October, the doorbell rang. Catherine stood outside without an umbrella. Her hair was plastered to her face, her makeup smeared. She looked small, like someone who'd gotten lost. Jack, she said, her voice trembling, can I come in? I stayed where I was, blocking the doorway. What is it? She swallowed. I think I made a mistake. Rain dripped from the eaves, splashing at her feet. I looked at her and remembered 7 years earlier, she'd stood in the rain just like this, holding a stack of soaked invitations to our engagement party, eyes shining as she said, I messed everything up. Back then, I'd wanted to protect her forever. Michael, she started crying. He says he needs space, that things moved too fast. Come in, I said at last. She stumbled into the living room and curled up in the corner of the couch. I handed her a towel. She clutched it but didn't wipe her face. He's just afraid of commitment, right? She asked, looking at me for reassurance. The divorce was a shock, after all. Catherine, I interrupted. Did you know Michael isn't divorced? She froze. Legally, he's still married. His wife's lawyer is gathering evidence to push for a better settlement. I took a folder from the drawer and placed it on the coffee table. Also, you weren't his only transition. There were at least 2 others, plus you. She didn't touch the folder, just stared at its blank cover. You knew all this? From the day you asked for the divorce. Her eyes widened as everything fell into place. Why I hadn't fought her. Why the agreement was so fair. Why I'd let go so calmly. I hadn't been the loser. I'd been the audience. Do you want me to beg you to come back? I asked. Her lips trembled. She didn't answer, but her eyes did. Yes, she had hoped for it, at least a little struggle. something to prove she was still wanted. I won't, I said. When the last leaves fell, Catherine moved into a temporary apartment. She tried to salvage her job, but rumors about her and her boss had already spread. HR suggested she resign voluntarily. Michael was promoted and transferred to the West Coast, without her. His farewell email was sent to the entire department. His line to Catherine was buried among the rest. Thank you for your contributions. The last time I saw her was at a grocery store. She was pushing a half-empty cart, comparing 2 brands of pasta sauce. When she noticed me, she instinctively turned away, then stopped, straightened her shoulders. Jack. Catherine. We stood there in silence for a few seconds. She'd lost weight. Faint gray shadows lingered beneath her eyes. I should say I'm sorry, she said. You don't have to. No, she insisted, gripping the cart handle. I do. What I did to you was cruel. I nodded. I accepted it, but I didn't forgive her. Some cracks can be repaired. Others just remind you that something once broke. He never planned to choose me, did he? She asked softly. He never planned to choose anyone, I said. Some people like the feeling of stealing. They don't like owning. She smiled, bitterly. I thought I was special. You were, I said, to me. That finally shattered her. Tears slid down her face, and this time she didn't wipe them away. She let them fall, standing under the cold white lights of the supermarket like a statue slowly melting. I pushed my cart past her. At checkout, the cashier was a freckled kid, whistling as he bagged my groceries. Outside, the sky was darkening, streetlights flickering on one by one. I remembered a night 7 years ago when Catherine had rested her head on my shoulder and said we would always make sure the other had a home to return to. Forever, it turned out, was very short. But life is long. Long enough for betrayal to become memory, for pain to turn into strength, for a man to sit alone in a supermarket parking lot, turn off the engine, cry quietly for 10 minutes, then wipe his face, start the car, and drive toward a wide tomorrow without her.